Hello everyone and welcome to Game Study. Today I am playing Giana Sisters Twisted Dreams. This is a platformer developed in 2012 by Black Forest Games. I didn't realize until just very recently this is actually a remake of an NES game, or at least a game in the same vein. I don't know if it's a direct remake or not, but I found that very interesting, so we'll see how the game improved. I guess I'd have to go back and play the old game for sure, but anyway. So something I found interesting was that in the game page, or the store page for Giana Sisters, they mentioned that the game is, or they call themselves a hardcore platformer. So we'll see how hardcore they are. When I think hardcore, I tend to think Meat Boy and games like that, so I'm not sure if this quite falls in the same genre, but again, I guess we'll just have to play and see how tough it is. So, also, this might be the last game study I do for a little while. I just want to take some time to focus on my own projects for a bit. This was mostly just a fun little experiment, a little side project to try out. I just wanted to force myself to play and study games for a bit, and I'll probably revisit in the future, but, you know, be taking a little break for now, so. Anyway, let's get started with Giana Sisters here. Make sure I have focus on it. Okay. All right. All right, first impressions. Controls are pretty snappy and responsive. Obviously very important for a platformer. You tend to get the best performance when you're playing in windowed mode. Sometimes when you do full screen, you can be subject to VSync settings and a couple frames of lag, but everything feels pretty snappy so far. I can already see that they're incorporating the standard in-game tutorial, both with the button on the screen at the bottom and the little picture at the top. I would almost say that that's overkill. I feel like it's probably pretty obvious. I mean, either of them would be sufficient. I understand at the bottom they're probably trying to indicate the actual button being pressed on the, whether it's the keyboard or the controller, but either way. Alright, so you jump, you collect some gems. Really not too much to bog you down on the interface yet. I mean, up in the top left it just looks like that's counting our gems, and there are probably 600 to find here. Okay, and that right there, that was a really good way to illustrate jump through or fall through platforms, because there was no, they didn't give you a button prompt and they didn't put a sign there, but you literally had no other option than to jump up through there. So that is and otherwise, you know, you wouldn't immediately know that this vine platform is indeed a pass-through platform. So that is, it's very good. Okay, it looks like a checkpoint system. It feels like it would be pretty obvious that pitfalls are death traps, but it looks like they're marking the very first one with some death flags, just to make sure the player is aware that bottomless pits are a mechanic in this game. Although I'm sure at some point they will use that mechanic to hide something down below. In fact, I'll go take a look real quick. Okay, and that's obviously why they put the checkpoint there. So cool. I don't know exactly what that is that I picked up. Looks like some sort of shield or energy. Yeah, it might just be an extra hit. I'm not really sure. Okay, so looks like blue guys might... Ooh, did they get back up? It kind of seemed like they would, but I wasn't sure. A very large crystal? Okay, so I don't know if that counted toward my overall count, but it looks like I unlocked something regardless. so if I can find a way down there, I can probably get that. Oh, okay, so that's interesting. I guess I saw that in the trailer videos, but the game is indicating to me that I can transform between the two sisters, and it would seem that each... Whoops, I wasn't paying attention. Okay, so each sister has a different version of the level. So I can see that being a very neat mechanic to play with. Right now I'm not really sure what that means, like why they have different levels. Like, we're clearly in the same spot, and like I don't know why this sister has like an old, like sort of rustic ruin type level, and the other sister has like a newer, happier. I don't know if that's like just their perception of the world, but clearly there's a physical difference in like the bridge here. So it's kind of hard to say. But I'll keep that in mind. Oh, so not only does the world change, but there's actually objects that are persistent between the two and that can keep changing. Like, I would assume that, you know, so like obviously the bridge in this version of the world is open, and the bridge here is closed, but the fact that you can basically take advantage of transitions to sort of animate it into a state somewhere in between definitely presents an interesting mechanic. So another thing to keep in mind. Okay, so now I have a strange attack. I don't know where this came from or if I always had it. I think they just... Okay, so I also have this jump. I feel like they just gave me this stuff without explaining it, but that's fine. I'm sure it'll come in soon. Okay, I'm really glad that they show the gems in both worlds at the same time, just faded out. Because I was going to say that sounds like it would get really tedious. I like the mechanic they're introducing, but if I had to go through every single section of the level and keep constantly switching back and forth just to make sure I didn't miss anything, that could potentially be not very fun. Now, I'm sure they'll still hide things here and there using that mechanic, but as long as I don't feel compelled to constantly switch back and forth, I think that's all that's really important for now. Also, what's important, not only are the controls responsive, but as a platformer, I feel like the character has a very good level of mobile, like aerial mobility. So not just the ability to change back and forth, but the speed at which they fall feels like the speed it should be for this world. A lot of platformer games will give you a speed that's sort of too fast or too slow, and it sort of messes up the dynamic of how... or it just makes it doesn't make it feel right, the mechanic of jumping from platform to platform and enemy to enemy, but what they have so far feels the way it should, which I know is hard to put into words. It's one of those things that you can't really describe until you just do it and play it, but Yeah, it feels pretty solid so far. Alright, so you got your basic collection mechanics. You get to the end of the level, it sort of grades you on how many things you got. I guess I'm not really sure what the... I think that means I died twice, but I guess I only remember dying once, so... Maybe I either forgot or maybe that means something else, but either way. And at the bottom it looks like 5 stars. I don't really know what those are. I don't know if those are things that I collected or if they're things that I missed, like potentially the level artwork, but that'll probably become more clear when I play level 2. There are quite a few levels. Alright, here's where they explain that. So in addition to the existing good aerial mechanics, this also feels good too, because it lets you get an extra little hop in, and it lets you slow your descent at alternating paces. So you can start to slow, you can let off, you can slow again, stuff like that. And they also, you know, in addition to kind of showing you how to do this in a tutorial sense, they do a good job of placing the gems in such a way that it sort of spells out how the jump should be working. And I was going to say they immediately give you a situation in which you have to use it, but I didn't quite have to use it there. Alright. Interesting. Alright, so you have this move that's like a fireball / attack, but what's interesting about it is that you can slightly change the direction as you do it. So you can kind of curve over and around, you can go straight up with it, or you can go straight down. So I like that they're giving us all these subtle variations of movements, because in a platformer like this, that's what gives the player the ability to feel more proficient with their platforming skills. So it's one thing to be able to make it through a level, but when you add in slight mechanics like that, slight variations in jump height and overall speed, you can sort of make the player feel like they've really mastered the mechanics, and the game can be more fun to play through. So it feels more like you're showing off. You're not just jumping, you're not just getting from the end of the level, from the beginning to the end. As you do it, you can kind of do it in almost an acrobatic kind of style that makes the whole thing more fun. Okay, sort of interesting. So it's not quite a wall jump, and I've never seen a mechanic quite like that, because in essence it is a wall jump, but it's one that you don't really have to control. Like, you don't have to actually time your jumps and wait. And I really like that too, because they're obviously trying to say that they're giving you the ability to have fun doing a wall jump and to feel successful and powerful doing it without requiring the dexterity needed for that. And it's not that this game doesn't require dexterity, it's just that they're choosing to not enforce that dexterity in a place like this. So you still get the challenge of playing through the platforming sections, but when it comes to the wall jump, they're kind of saying, hey, don't sweat it, just kind of hit the button. Well, you have to make sure you hit it at the right angle. But, yeah, another solid choice, I think. So I'm not sure why I'm changing back and forth there. That's a little confusing. So I'm, like if I'm this character and then I hit the wall, it changes. Or it's like only a certain character, it's like forcing me into being that character, and I don't really quite get what's going on there. Like if I hit the wall as her, I stay as her. But if I'm this girl, and I hit the wall, it automatically, like instantly changes me back. So definitely a little confused there. Oh well, I'll have to come back later. There might be some skill that I'm missing or something I don't quite get about the game yet. Yeah, this is, even when I do the little spin jump, as soon as it's like forcing me into that character. Definitely don't quite get that. Oh, I see. You know what? I didn't realize what they were doing is that each sister only has one specific skill. So when you want to use the spin jump, you're automatically this sister, because that's just what she does. And when you want to use the fireball attack, you're automatically this sister, because that's what she does. So I sort of like that, but I think I prefer to have manual. I'd rather have, I get why they do it, but I'd rather have each sister have each ability and then let me manually switch between the two skills. I feel like there's going to be a subtle fight in my mind, like as I approach a section and I try to internalize the platforms coming up. Like I'm going to say to myself, okay, I need to do this and then switch and switch and switch, but the game's going to start switching for me as I do certain moves. So that could potentially be bad. Oh, I probably messed that up. Hmm. Yeah, I probably had to jump on the enemy to get that. Oh well. Was that all a bonus section, or am I just... Oh no, I'm supposed to go that way. Okay. Alright, so it looks like the stars are just sort of my ranking or rating for the level. Like, just the fact that I didn't die gave me extra stars, so I'm guessing there's like a 5-star rating, maybe 5 or 6. And I obviously missed a few really big crystals. I didn't think I missed any huge areas, but apparently I did, so I'll have to go back and get those. If I am getting a star rating, I don't see it appear on the screen. You would expect it to appear on the level select here, which I don't, so I'm not really sure if that's what that is yet, but either way, so just after the first 2 levels, I can immediately say that the mechanics are very solid. They do a good job of describing things. The controls are responsive. The movements are satisfying. The only issue I've had so far is just the fact that I felt the relationship between the sisters and the way their attacks work wasn't fully explained. But I think that's sort of like an emergent kind of thing in the game where you're going to figure it out eventually, and it's not necessarily their job to hold your hand for everything. And it certainly doesn't prevent you from completing a level, so it's not a roadblock in that sense. I gotta say that feels a little bit like Sonic, which is fine. It's the only thing I really noticed so far, but definitely the way they kind of curl up into a ball and like auto spin or jump through things, feels a bit like that. Okay, looks like certain water we can swim through. Doesn't appear that we have a air meter, which is good. I think an air meter for a game like this would just be sort of unnecessary. It's not really part of what the challenge of this game is trying to do. Whoop. Okay, I guess those were death spikes, but they just... I mean, now that I look at them, they definitely stand out. But they just don't look that dangerous. Maybe that's just me. Not sure what they're trying to show me with that tutorial prompt. I feel like I've already... I guess they're maybe just trying to indicate that if you attack into an enemy, you get a significant boost or bump, which is probably why I can't get these gems up here. If that's the case, it kind of sucks, but... maybe I can get them from up here. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if that's all secret up there or that's just the way. Yeah, I want to say that's secret. Yeah, let's go back for that. Damn it. Okay. One small gripe or complaint I have so far is that it doesn't seem like you can combo the two sisters' abilities. So if you use this sister to hop up, you can't transform and then shoot off as the other sister, which they probably did that to make sure you couldn't break the level design. But it still feels like it would be a fun way to control the character. And it would further play into the whole idea of being able to show off as you control your character through the level. Apparently I missed like 12 gems somewhere. Or 13. I can't count. Oh boy. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm in some kind of secret area or not, but I keep ending up like falling down and around, and oh well, I think I got it figured out now. Oh, still gotta go back up. Yeah, as far as aesthetics, I would agree with Green. I really had no idea what to expect, especially Strange, since this has been sitting in my Steam library for like 3 years now. So this is what it is, I guess. I was worried when I first saw the screenshots. I was worried it was going to be too cutesy looking, and there's a little bit of that. I mean, the level design is fine. The characters are kind of like, I don't know, their voices annoy me, but I don't really care that much. Oops. Okay, didn't realize that as soon as you hit an enemy, you get your power back, which makes sense. That's also kind of like Sonic in a way, the way the homing attack works. Oops. Oh, damn it. Okay, so at least I kept everything before the checkpoint. Okay, so that is a way you can at least combo the attacks then. If you can use one sister to hit an enemy and switch to the other sister, you can, in fact, make use of that. So I kind of like that. another interesting mechanic. So I kind of noticed before that one sister could carry over the attack of another, but I never really thought about it that much. So in a situation like that, the only way to ascend was to use the red sister's bouncing attack. But halfway up, you have to switch to the other sister to make the wall solid. And she still, even though you switched to the yellow version, because you started the attack as the red, she carries over. So the rules of the game are very interesting. I think they allow for some confusion just with the way you try to map both the fact that you can switch between both with the attacks and just the trigger buttons. Yeah, I feel like that's going to get a little confusing in later levels when they really try to put harder stuff in. But hopefully it's not too bad. Also, it can be kind of unclear at first, like which... I mean, obviously, if you see a wall that isn't there, you know the other sister, you can use the switch to it, but sometimes you might not have a fast enough visual cue to pick up on that. But that's just the game. And at the end of the day, all these levels you can come back to and kind of get all the stuff in anyway, so it's not really super important that you get everything on your first try. Okay, that was an enemy. Not sure if I wanted to do that or not. I think I did. Okay. I was afraid that was going to kill me, but they usually do a pretty good job of indicating that any death pits have the death signs next to them. At first, in the very first level, I thought that was a one-time thing, but it seems like every actual pit that could kill you, they put one of those things in front of. So that still might change with later levels, but they definitely carried it out longer than I sort of expected. Yeah, I messed that up. I don't think I can... I gotta go all the way back around just to get those now. Oh well. Okay, that was a little weird, just kind of teleported through the wall. That's the first real glitch I've seen, but didn't really seem to affect much, so I'm not going to complain. Oh, come on. Shoot. Oh, I was right at the... okay. Alright, so that system, I like what they're going for, but it's... I don't know if it just wasn't programmed well, or it's just they didn't quite think it out, but... So as you've noticed, or as I've said, when you hit an enemy, you get your special attack back, and so generally, much like Sonic style, you can kind of homing attack into multiple enemies at once to climb higher, which is fine, but the game has a habit of just, like what it did there is that I clearly wanted to home in on the closer one to get my jump, but it homed in on the one that was farther away, and it did so in such a manner that when my special ended, I was out of the special state and therefore able to be killed, and by the time I got there, the enemy just killed me. So that felt like a very cheap way to accomplish that. I mean, otherwise I like the mechanic that they're introducing, or that they're using here, but it feels a tiny bit sloppy. That's the first thing I've noticed so far that's felt that way. And if it's something they end up relying on heavily in later levels, I could definitely see it getting frustrating. Alright. Let's try again. I definitely missed a few things there. I'm not sure if I could have continued across the top or not, but I really didn't think I was quite at the end. Alright, I think I'm going to play one more level here. I mean, you may have noticed in the last level I didn't talk very much. I didn't feel like there was a lot of new things to talk about, and that's sort of good in a way, because I found myself just sort of zoning out and playing the game, which at the end of the day, even if you're studying one, you still want the game to be fun, so that's good. But more importantly, what I like so far is that they've established a base set of mechanics, and they're not trying to shove any more down our throats just yet. So, you know, in the first one or two levels, you establish all the mechanics. The third level threw in a few sort of tougher spots, but for the most part, it feels like, you know, they took a step back. There was sort of like a feeling of tension and release. Like, here's all the mechanics. Now here's some time to kind of go play with them, and then maybe we'll teach you something new. So I don't know if new skills are coming, or for all I know, I've learned everything in the game so far. Either way, it's still enjoyable, but the flow seems pretty positive so far. So we'll play 1-5 here and then see how things go. I would sort of imagine maybe by the time I get to World 2 something would change, but like a new power-up, or I don't think there's a new sister. I feel like a third sister would really convolute things, the whole dimension switching mechanic, so I don't think I have to worry about that just yet. Oh, whoops. Oh. Okay, well this is interesting. So there's a block that I can push, and it would seem like the block can light up. So they're definitely not ashamed to give us a few, or at least a new mechanic yet, so far. Okay, well this is getting a little convoluted, but so it's trying to show us that, I'm not sure if it's trying to show us that either sister has the ability to ascend, or if I have to alternate between them. Okay, yeah, I think it's just trying to show that either has the ability that I can fall down and propel up, or I can spin jump up. And I guess I'm still not 100% sure. This box seems convoluted. Like, obviously they're just trying to show us that we can push the box, I think. When I first saw the picture, I thought it had something to do with lighting up the box, but I don't think that's the case. I'm also not really sure what this does yet. Oh, it's a secret. Okay, that was kind of a cool thing to do. Not sure how I get over there. Usually yellow opens up the doors, but that's a little disappointing. Given that this room had a question mark, it would seem like you can somehow get down there from here, but I can't see what you would do up here. I think I messed that up. Kind of frustrating. It's kind of like a one-time shot with that enemy, but oh well. This is also another really strange room. Oh. Okay, so I could definitely get up in the ceiling there, but again, I think that was one time because that enemy is killed, and I don't know if he reappears. A little disappointing, because I wasn't really prepared for where they were taking me. Oh, okay, so I can do that too. Although, I'm not sure why I can't break those blocks. That's kind of weird. I haven't known these blocks to be one way. Although it feels like I can only do them on the way down. Oh well. I mean, I think it's to be expected that most of these levels are going to be the kind of levels you want to play again, just to go back through 100%. But it is nice to try and get everything on the first playthrough. Not the way to do that. Phew. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm going to wrap up here. I'll take a quick look and I guess see how my level progress was, but yeah, I would say I was very pleasantly surprised with this game. I knew it was going to be at least decent because it had good reviews and it seemed to be no one had any real gripes with it. But both in in how solid the platform mechanics were and how they actually managed to introduce slightly new mechanics and/or small twists on existing mechanics, I sort of didn't expect that. You know, I played games with the whole like dimension switching thing, you know, back and forth, and obviously a lot of the standard mechanics come into play, like platforms and changing the direction, pushing blocks, all that stuff. But just in general, everything felt really solid. Like, it was fun to play through. I didn't feel too frustrated. There were a few moments where, like I was talking about, where if you try to homing attack into enemies, I feel like that system can be a little bit sloppy. But they didn't rely on it too much. But I'm also only in the first world, so I don't know how much I can say about that yet. And then, as much as I do like the mechanics switching between the sisters, it is slightly convoluted with the way that it happens because there's essentially two ways to do it. You either choose to do it, or your choice of attack forces you to switch. And it can be kind of confusing, especially because each sister can carry over the power of the other sister. So I can definitely see that getting very tough to manage in later levels, like, you know, kind of screwing with your mind. But I mean, I'm sure the game will get harder, so that's obviously going to be part of it. It would depend how quickly they ramp up that mechanic. You know, so I probably wouldn't see that until I at least finish World 2. But other than that, you know, the aesthetics and the story, it pretty much take it or leave it. The game looks very nice. It's got one thing that I think turned me off to the game and might turn off other people. It kind of has like an overly sticky sweet sort of feel to it, like almost like it was designed for little kids, I guess. I don't know if I would classify it as a hardcore platformer yet, like their own trailer did, but I do imagine that in later levels it will get much tougher, so they're probably not too far off. But it's sort of, I think it's on the same level as like Rayman Origins or Rayman Legends. So if you like those games, you'd probably like this. There is, like, the way the characters animate and the scenery, although it looks very nice, there is something a little flat feeling about it. Maybe that's just because I've been spoiled by games like Rayman that have such great artwork. So there's that. The music is a little campy. I mean, I think you can hear it going on right now. It sort of feels like something you'd find in a commercial for like pharmaceutical companies. I don't know, it's a little weird, but you know, nothing's jarring. Like I didn't hate the music, and the aesthetics were fine. So, but you know, they do what they need to. At the end of the day, it's just supporting a solid and fun game, and I think it hits all the marks in that regard. So if you like platformers, probably no reason to not pick this up, especially now that it's pretty old. As always, you can probably pick it up pretty cheap on a Steam sale. They usually have them discounted for those. And I think I got this as part of a Humble Bundle a long time ago anyway. So even back then, it was pretty easy to pick up. So I think that covers most of... also, yeah, just in general, I mean, I've covered this enough while talking about it. Level design is solid. You know, I think it introduces things at a decent pace. And they do a pretty good job of not punishing the player too badly when you screw up. You know, you get, as long as you find a shield, you get one extra hit, and checkpoints are fairly frequent. Again, as difficulty increases, I can see them spreading out the checkpoints to make that harder, and that's fine. It just, as long as it's not too bad. Yeah, so it's even if you get caught into a weird mechanic or a weird situation where your homing attack messes you up, you're only going to be put back a couple minutes of gameplay at worst, so it's definitely easy to deal with. But other than that, I think that wraps up my coverage of Giana Sisters, so it's pretty fun game. And so with that, as always, thank you to anyone watching. Like I said in the beginning, this will probably be the last game study I do for a little while, just so I can focus on some other things. Editing the highlights for these sort of took more time than I thought, and I don't know if it's really worth it in general. You know, again, this was just sort of a fun little side experiment. I'll probably revisit it later, but for now I just want to focus on some other stuff. So if you are still interested in following me, of course, you can follow me on Twitter at ANPSean, or my Twitch channel, AN Productions, also on YouTube. Even if I don't stream Game Study, I usually try to have some sort of content to put up on either of those channels. It just sort of depends, you know, on a month-to-month basis. So other than that, thank you guys, and I will catch you again in the future.